understand the different problems that companies have given a particular industry. For example, insurance companies have a whole different set of issues than manufacturing companies, and so we've been around the block probably more than we'd like to admit. But through the years, we've kind of understand the needs of these companies, and I think that's important because a lot of times with these SharePoint deployments, it's not necessarily about the technology as much as it is understanding the business needs and then and then applying the technology to those needs. So that's important. And so one of the ways we do that is with an ADS, or an architectural design session. Absolutely. So it can be various things, right? So off the top of my head, and probably just most recently because it's in regards to the engagement you're speaking of, and actually a lot of people have questions recently about team development in SharePoint. So what are the best practices in creating these web parts and workflows and list definitions, and how do we do it in a team environment? How can we work together as a team, and how can we keep things under source control and board speaking the same language? And because it does require effort for a successful deployment from the end users to the business users to the IT department, because it requires effort from everybody, if we can get everybody speaking the same language, and if they all know why this is important, at the end of the day, what is it that we're trying to accomplish here by bringing this new tool in-house, then it really helps ease that pain and gets everybody on board, and it can make a tremendous difference in
having
success.
That clear vision,
Sure.
writing it down, documenting it, getting everybody to line up behind it is actually one of the reasons we've actually been extremely successful.
I would agree with you, absolutely.
First things first, second things second.
Yeah.
And I think along that line, our next step in our process, which I'd like our audience to understand,
Sure.
is what do you do then?
Yeah. Well, I think I really like the way that you just summed that up, because I think once you define through this ADS, architectural design system, exactly where the client is, where they need to go, and what they need to get there, and then through some training right up front, don't wait until the end, but right up front, even if it's 4-hour sessions, get people on board, get them speaking the same language, help them understand why we're doing this. Then the rest of it can fall into place pretty easily. I mean, you typically we're working with bright people. They've been in the industry for years.
Right.
They're bright programmers, .NET people. They get it. They've been around the block. For them, they just need help with this SharePoint thing. How do we take this content management, this business intelligence thing, and get it in our organization and get everybody on board? And so after that, it's working with the specific teams, the developers, the DBAs, the NT teams, making sure that their backup and restore tool that they select is good, for example. And so then after that point, it's working with individual teams. And
well, I think the other thing that actually I saw in some of the most recent engagements was, when you get into the...
I'd like to think that what you and I do that's different is that we have an eye for how easy will this system be able to be maintained,
right?
And how can we put this in a way so that it's not a burden to the people that have to maintain it. And with SharePoint, that means not only the IT people, but the business users as well.
Right.